Hello YouTube, this is Nick, the Cognitive Rambler, here to answer the second portion of the 22 questions by Creationists. They have found more than one Lucy. Moreover, the fossil record is not our only way of verifying evolution. We have so many other methods that support evolution, so even with the holes or scantily filled segments of our fossil record being as they are, this does nothing to debunk evolution, and definitely does nothing to bolster the argument of creation. Metamorphosis and evolution are two very different processes. You can do your own Google search if you really must learn more about either, but an easy example of metamorphosis is when a larva becomes a pupa, becomes a moth. I think this question is better served by stating that the fact that there exists some species that undergo metamorphosis does not impede the theory of evolution in any way. It does nothing to rebuke the fact that random mating, natural selection, and spontaneous genetic mutation ultimately can change one species to another over a very long period of time. This is another incredibly tired argument made by apologists that automatically assert your scientific ignorance. Have you ever heard of the theory of relativity? Theory in the scientific world is as concrete as it gets. It differs from a law only because laws are mathematical equations, while theories are interpretations of laws and other data available to us to draw conclusions and explain why these laws work. Go to notjustatheory.com if you insist on better learning what a scientific theory is. They can explain this better than I can. Everything about this woman's claim is absolutely absurd. Science is not, by definition, a theory. The first definition Google provides is as follows: the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. End quote. Science is the process which hypotheses are rigorously tested by very educated and very experienced professionals, and conclusions are extrapolated from the results. And you are blatantly wrong about it. Observations, tests, and repetition are all fundamentally required in the scientific community. That which cannot be observed, tested, repeated across other labs is typically rejected in the scientific community. This includes things such as your great flood, or that complex beings came to be from nothing. I got this sense that you're projecting the weakness of your own worldview onto us, and it's not cool. We see genetic mutation all the time, sometimes called spontaneous mutation, when two organisms with particular characteristics chance produce offspring with very different phenotypic characteristics. You should know this already. Many birth defects are a result of genetic mutation, such as Down syndrome. This is a worthless question. Everyone can answer this question differently. Me? I'm here to learn, be as happy as I can be, and do what good I can. And good's a term subjective to my own values as well. I think TJ, the amazing atheist, brilliantly answered this question on his own video response to these questions, so I would like to quote him. Quote, "From a naturalistic perspective, I think I'm a primate with cognitive abilities that dwarf every other animal on the planet, and my purpose is to perpetuate my own genetic makeup by creating offspring. However, I have reached a high enough state of awareness, thanks to modern science, that I can now choose to reject this purpose and instead substitute my own. And I have. I suggest you do the same. I think you'll find it far more fulfilling." End quote. We have found more than one Lucy. Seriously, Google's a thing. Yes, we can. That is exactly why we believe in the Big Bang, because it is supported by evidence. Can you believe in God without faith? Is faith not a conspicuous staple to your belief system? If so, then by your own worldview, what would be wrong with faith in the first place? I find it curious that so many Christians try to attack scientific worldviews such as evolution or the Big Bang theory by saying they require faith, when faith is the self-identified primary component of your own belief system. It seems like some subconscious admission that faith alone is a poor support for a belief system or a worldview, but this epiphany somehow doesn't quite connect when you apply this logic to your own. It's some real Orwellian doublethink you creationists practice. This is a terrible question, an appeal to emotion, and it's barely even that. For one, beauty is a subjective thing. For two, if nature's beauty, presumably a temperate sunny day, or a soft breeze, or maybe a waterfall, are, by your terms, evidence of a creator, then is nature's ugliness, such as famine, serious birth defects, or natural disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis, evidence against God? You cannot presuppose that nature's beauty supports the existence of a kind, loving, omnipotent, all-powerful creator if you deny the aforementioned natural disasters suggest the exact opposite. We atheists view nature's subjective beauty and ugliness as incidental, and this makes a lot more sense. This is by no means the primary reason most atheists disbelieve in God. I only touch on this point because this is another extremely tired and tenuous line of religious rhetoric. This does nothing to bolster my argument, but I will add that I do find nature amazing and beautiful as well. But I have no problem accepting that it had assembled from purely natural processes. You already misunderstand the Big Bang by asserting that it was an exploding star. This is not the hypothesis. The hypothesis is that all of the energy in the universe was compressed into a single point that exploded. Or rather, this energy was the universe itself prior to the explosion. This explains why the universe is ever expanding. We don't know where this energy came from. Admitting you do not know something is the only responsible answer when you truly do not know. That does not mean you win. Just because we don't know this yet does not make "therefore God" the right answer. God is not a meaningful answer to this question, because then we would need to question what created God. Christians will, if you point this out to them, assert that God always existed, or that God possesses magical, ephemeral properties that do not follow the laws of nature as we understand them. This is an immature, untestable, cop-out answer. This answer grants us no predictive power. It does nothing for us. It's a filler, and a bad one at that. If you're going to use God to fill the gaps of scientific understanding, whatever. But stop fighting us on the things we do know, like the fact that a Big Bang happened, or the fact that evolution occurs, or the fact that the Earth and the universe are a lot older than your book suggests it is. Believe in a God if you have to, but stop making outrageous assumptions about nature based on your belief in that God. This is another very tired question, and when people ask this question, it automatically exemplifies just how truly ignorant they are to the theory of evolution. Yes, we do suggest that we and monkeys have a common ancestor, and we have observed in our fossil record species that are more ape-like than humans, and more human-like than currently existing apes. This has been observed. Now, to answer your question, we must address what the primary driver of evolution is. What traits will most help the species survive and reproduce? All creatures in existence at this moment are technically as evolved as humans are, simply on account of the fact that they exist. All species that exist right now are evolved from something else, and many of them did share ancestors. An evolutionary biologist could explain this better than I could, but it seems clear that the tools available to monkeys are effective for guaranteeing their survival and reproduction. Their traits will continue to carry as long as they are effective at keeping them alive and reproducing. I should also mention that nobody is saying we evolved from any exact species of monkeys currently in existence, only that we have common ancestry, and that we have ancestors who are more ape-like.